So Sarah, what's going on with the pressure of posting on social media as a brand? Is that something that you've struggled with?
Yeah, 100%. Like, social media for me is such a huge part of the brand and the business. And like without it, nothing would exist. So there's definitely always a pressure of trying to keep it consistent, thinking of what to do next. And yeah.
I think you've had such a successful fashion business brand, the likes of like, you know, who are some of the people that have worn your clothes, and has that come from social media?
Yeah, so if I go back to what you were saying, who's worn it, so it's people like Molly May, Ashley Roberts from Pussycat Dolls, again, if we're going Love Island, another Maura Higgins, Perry Edwards from Little Mix, people like that. So, and all of that pretty much has come from social media. And how it kind of works with me is I'll be posting, you know, my work and my process, and it'll be stylists who come to me to work with these like celebrities and magazines and things like that. But they would have never have found me if it wasn't for my social media presence.
Yeah, and it kind of goes full circle, because then the celebrities or influencers that are wearing your clothes post their outfits, and then they're seen probably on social media. That comes back around to you again, because now the next stylist or the next star has seen your work. And that's probably why it's so important to like keep posting, keep creating content. And I see your stuff all the time, and you're posting like on two different accounts, two different industries.
Yeah.
So you've had this really successful fashion brand. You've still got it. And then recently you've started tattooing.
Yeah.
But you've also gone down the social media route for that as well, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. With that one, I think I'd learned a lot from starting the brand, because with the brand, it was a bit of a complicated one at the beginning, because obviously I didn't expect the brand to grow as it did. I started obviously from my mum's kitchen table, and so at that point it wasn't professional. And then as it grew, I wanted my social media to look professional as possible, but it was always a constant battle of trying to make it look professional but also relatable and authentic as well, because I didn't really want the social media to be about me, and that it was never kind of a total personal brand. It was meant to be about my work. But I learned along the way, people like authenticity. They like to see you behind the brand if you are a big part of it. So I'd learned how important that was for the brand. And as much as I really kind of didn't want to be involved as much personally, but I just felt there was no choice in it. And it's something that I've had to kind of learn and adapt and just kind of come out of my comfort zone a little bit. So then when I started tattooing, I thought even more so for that, it has to be personal, because the work is one side of it. And of course, people want your work to be great. It's on them for life. However, you have to relate to your tattoo artist, I personally feel, because a lot of people, you know, you sat at very close distance to them. You know, you could be there for a full day. Sometimes people do days back to back, and it's you and them. So you want to have somebody that you feel comfortable around, that, you know, so you could either sit there in silence with them if you wanted to. You could have a good chat. The amount of people that I have met and already become like quite close friends with, and they tell me all sorts.
That's so true. What you said about the people have to relate to the person they're trusting, and that could be a brand, but it could be a person who's tattooing them. So you've done one of my tattoos, right? And when you pick someone to do your tattoo, you kind of put all your trust into them. But if you get to see them and get to know them first through social media, you feel like you've already broken down that barrier. So then when they are putting a needle in your skin, you've already got that trust. And I think that also relates to having a brand or a business, is if you're the face of your business, which you are, people buy from you, not a store. You know, when someone buys your clothes or you make like a one-of-one piece, they're putting the trust in you as a person aside from like a business. And I think that's what a lot of people get wrong from a business point of view, is they think that because they've created this business, now that has to be like a a professional business page posting professional business stuff. But then when I see your content, it's like, come with me and, you know, we'll see this man get his first leg sleeve, or come with me for my first day at doing an arm sleeve. And it's all about you and your voiceover and your like thoughts on it and how you found it. And then when people watch that, they buy into that. I think that's really tough though for people to figure out at first.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to what I was saying, that I kind of felt like I'd learned a lot from the brand side of things, because I don't think necessarily I would have been that confident and that understanding of, you know, showing that side and showing the whole story and my personality through for the tattoo side of things. But I just know from even when I was doing the brand, that was what people were more interested in. I was getting more views, people were reacting more, you know, messaging me more by just, I could tell the difference. They were buying more into the brand of that. So I thought, well, if they're doing that for this, I can push it even more so and bring people along. And I just said to myself, you know, it's so important, especially at the beginning. You have to try and stand out through a whole industry of people. So it's also that side of things. How am I going to stand out compared to everybody else? And sometimes that is personality. And sometimes it is hard because sometimes it doesn't feel natural, and you've got to I'm still getting used to it. It's not a very natural thing to me. I'm just having to push myself out my comfort zone to do this because I don't have the work portfolio yet. So what else have I got to show? Okay, I can show my journey from start to finish.
And that's so unique to you, you know, and to everyone who would start a business or start something new, like a hobby or something like that. Showing the journey, what a lot of people do now, and they do really well on social media because no one else is doing it like them. And I think it really helps like sell your whatever it is, your business, your page, your clothes, your art, whatever it is. But with all that in mind, do you sometimes get this little battle in your head of I need to post, but I don't know what to post? Or do you ever get a thing where you're doing something and you think, I should be making content right now? I do that. And I get this thing where I feel guilty if I'm not doing something creative for my page, you know?
Yeah. Just everything you're saying, I'm like, yep, 100%. It's a constant battle. And especially, I think, because I've got the two businesses, it's a battle of which one am I working on? I'm wanting to push my tattooing so much. I'm obviously right at the beginning of my journey with that, and I want to put so much effort into it to push myself to obviously get to a position where, you know, I can do bigger pieces and things like that. But also, the more time I'm spending on that, the brand goes down. So what I sometimes try to do is, you know, I'll spend a day and put loads of content together for a day, and I'll schedule it throughout the week. That's a way that I try and work, because it is a constant battle, and you think you're up to date with one, and then the other one drops off, and it's just a constant
you've only got so much time, and so time away from something is time spent on something else, but that time's lost now. But you're right, like being organized and planning out your week is like, it's hard to do, but it's so beneficial for you. Do you struggle with like content ideas? Because tattooing is good because you've got like the pieces to show, you've got the process to show, but then do you like sometimes think I need to do something else, or do you find it quite easy that?
No, it's definitely not easy, because I'm doing the same thing maybe each day. You know, I'm going in, I'm setting up in the same way, I'm doing the tattoo in the same way, I'm cleaning up in the same way. Not saying it's mundane for me, but it's the same process. So I'm just thinking, people are going to want to keep seeing the same thing, really. But to be fair, they do, and it's just different ways of editing. Like, I also get inspiration from other people. Like, I follow tattoo artists and social media people that I like the way that they work, and it might not necessarily be in my field, but I like the way they work content. So it's also just gauging ideas, trying to, obviously, like I said, mixing it up as best as I can between, you know, full days, full in-depth ones. But of course, again, those ones take longer to do, they take longer to film, longer to edit, and all that side of things. So it's as well just being smart with the time that you have, the content that you've got, and also the way that you split that up, because you can use, you know, the same, I've done it before where I've used the same video. Once I've done a voiceover, once I've done it with music, once I've just used a little bit but put text over. So it's just being mindful of the way that you can stretch that content out.
Yeah, and you can kind of see which performs the best, and then maybe try that again, replicate the same video. But that's like something that is changed so much over the last 10 years, maybe. Because when we first, like, you're similar age to me, when we first used social media, you would be writing on Facebook like, what you doing today, you know, me going to town with my mates.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people use it to highlight like the best moments of their life, but a lot of people use it for business, which is, you know, it's probably always been used for business, but not like it is now.
No.
Because now I can post a video of me talking about a topic, and then I can get customers through that.
Yeah.
A college like Roscon, for example, can post a reel and can get inquiries to send their students there. You can post a video of you either tattooing or creating your pieces of like clothing, and then something can come of that. Whereas in the past, it was all just about like, here's a picture of me going out on Friday night.
It wasn't an advertisement thing, really.
And you can still have that as like a personal Instagram or Facebook page. But would you say your time now is spent more on business social media than personal social media?
By miles, for sure. I don't even really as much touch my personal one, because I just think I just don't have the time for it. I'm not really interested in it. Like I said, with my businesses one, I'm trying to put a little bit of personal life in there anyway. I think what I really struggle with is that I'm quite a closed person when it comes to my personal life. Like, I don't like to post my personal, like my real personal life on social media and things like that. I prefer to keep that to myself. Whereas, of course, people with like influencers and things like that, they're so used to people like telling everything that's going on in their life, and the gossip behind it and things like that. And I think that's what I struggled with, you know, getting that balance of being relatable and putting things to do with your personal life on things like my brand page and my tattoo page, but finding that balance of like, I don't want people to know like my business, but I want them to feel a part of my life in a way and relatable. And so it's getting that like fine balance. And I think it took me a while to realize, I can post my life and what I'm doing and how I'm feeling about things, but not just say everything. And that's enough.
Yeah, that's so true. I think that is like the definition you've laid out for personal brand. Personal brand is like, show your personal life, but don't show like the stuff you don't want to show. But people buy from your personal brand. You know, I got you to do my tattoo because what I liked was your content. I liked your personality, you know, so then you get business through that that you wouldn't have got if you just posted a picture of someone's leg, you know. But the weird thing is, probably people our age, maybe a bit older, maybe a bit younger, we post, or a lot of people do post quite a lot of your personal life on social media. I don't know if you know, like I work at colleges and there's young people, their social media and how they treat it is like, I don't show anyone anything. I don't even want to see a picture of me. So you end up seeing these profiles of like kids today who they don't post anything at all. It's like a zero post thing.
Oh, right.
And even if they're on a picture, they like hide their face. It's
okay.
And there's a weird like little paradox of they probably consume it the most, but they probably use it as like a way to show their life the least. Whereas people our age probably post everything, like all your favourite moments of the year. You post them probably every week or something like that. And it's weird how people use this in different ways. You know, you can make a lot of money through using your business on social media, but then you can also probably show too much. Like if you're an influencer, your job is to show your whole life.
Yeah.
And when we do think about probably people you've worked with, they're getting paid to show everyone like what their personal life looks like. And probably there's a good balance of being somewhere in the middle. And that's where you probably sit with post some.
Yeah.
but keep it quite professional at the same time.
Exactly.
That's probably a hard balance to find, I think, isn't it?
That's, and I think that just comes with time. It's trial and test, like anything to do with the business. You know, no one's told, there's no like rule book of how to do it. So it's just what you're comfortable with, but maybe pushing yourself a little bit more. Like, for example, like I was saying before, I didn't really like posting myself, to be honest. And I hated doing a voiceover, and I found it really unnatural. But I felt I had to push myself to do that, because that became like the relatability came through that. So yeah, definitely it's just finding that balance, learning as you go, seeing what your audience is interested in and gets the traction, and then just work from there, really.
It's so awful when you hear your voice back and you're like, why did I say that? Why did I sound like that? Yeah. No, Roscon, the college that hosts this podcast, we provide like an education for young people, and it's kind of different to school. They kind of get to work in an industry or a career that they actually want to go in, normally like a trade or some kind of like business sector. Do you think, right, the school education, and I know this might not be your field, but you probably have some thoughts on this. Do you think that a couple of things, one is like content creation should be like an option at school for kids to learn about? And then the second part is, do you think that school was great for you in terms of what you've gone on to do as a career? Do you think it helped you, or do you think you found your own feet? So there's two bits in that, but...
Yeah, so the second one I can answer instantly. The first one, so it was about the content.
Do you think that should be a thing?
So I think that would have to be quite a careful one, because obviously social media, as we were saying, is great in so many ways, but obviously there is like negatives behind it. So I think if it was done in the correct way, or is showing like advertisement, you know, that side of things, there's definitely a route there that can be done, I personally think, because like I've had to learn it as I've gone on, and it's taken me a good few years to actually get to that stage. But it's like I've got friends who are like one of my best friends. She's a social media manager, and that is literally her job. She puts content together for clients. Yeah. So that is literally a job role. I think with any job role, there's got to be some sort of learning behind it, which why couldn't that be a course to do?
I guess part of the problem, which you probably can see, is sometimes you have to do the thing and like learn on the go by yourself, maybe the hard way, but that's the only way, rather than like sit in a classroom and someone tell you this is how you make content. But I agree with you on there is room for it, because if you're sat in a classroom and you think, well, I just want to make videos and that is a job, you know, I want to be a YouTuber. It's like, okay, well, what are you doing at school that's going to help you towards that? Maybe some stuff in English, like writing, maybe just getting your words together and scripts. But apart from that, it's like, what's going to help you there?
Yeah. So, because it's like, I know, again, other friends I have a friend who's an editor for like TV. So again, they went kind of down the film route. So there's definitely avenues, but it's whether students know what avenue they would have to go down to get to that final result. So there's scope, but whether that's a couple of things being pushed together to create like a new space of learning, I'm not sure on that one. And then the second thing you asked, was about kind of
school,
creative.
Like was it helping you go into your sector?
So my flat out answer would be no, because when I was back in school, so I was, you know, in top sets of my class and things like that. And I remember when I was picking options, because I was in top set, they wanted me to do triple science and push me to do try to do all these academic selections. And I'm so glad I did, that me and my mum spoke to them and said, look, I know already that I don't want to go into, you know, the academic world. I want to be a creative. That's what I want to do. And I knew that from a pretty early age when I was selecting my options for, it must be GCSE.
Yeah.
So I literally chose the lowest science that I could have, which meant that I have more options. So I could choose art and I could choose textiles. And I can't remember what else I chose. But if I had chose the science, I wouldn't have been able to do textiles. And that just would never make sense. I know things now that I learned in high school. I remember doing the classes, and without that, it wouldn't have got me to, I think, a position that I would have probably been ready to be at in college and do the options of textile. I did textiles and double art and design at college. And I don't know if I would have been ready if I hadn't had that extra time, just that extra year of like a boost in that field that I wanted to go into. So...
But you had to kind of fight to get.
But I had to fight for that. Yeah, they really frowned upon me for doing it. But I just thought, I don't care.
From a school perspective, it looks better for them because they get higher grades. But
that's
if you were
why
a
they
smart
wanted
student,
to do it.
You get the grades, and they can show off. Look how many kids got this grade.
Yeah.
But it's sad that really that is what a lot of kids face. They face like this academic push, which is definitely like there's room for it. But I think, especially like in the way the world goes, or the direction it's going in at the minute with like AI and technology, like this route of the academic world probably is going to change in the next 5 to 10 years drastically, and the careers that are creative will thrive, I think, over the others. Yeah,
I just think there's always been this cloud over creative selection and the creative industry, like people that go into it aren't as bright or as clever, whereas sometimes I think, if anything, people are like double because they have to have the creative mind, which just is so unique, but they also have to mix it with a business mind. So there's academic in that as well. And within my creative field, like with in the fashion, let's just say, pattern making is so mathematical. I say it's like architecture, but for fabric. So mathematical. It's part and parcel of what we do, but there's the creative element is bigger, so that's why you go down the creative route. But it does annoy me sometimes when, you know, schools and things don't see it as a real strong route to go down. They just see that there's just always a huge push on purely academic subjects.
And it's weird that when you think about the people, you know, some of the richest people in the world, or just the most successful people in the world, people we know as like household names, are probably not a lot of them. There'll be a few that we can name, but not a lot of them will be the academic people. It's more so artists, music artists, you know, content creators, things like that probably should be pushed in schools now or colleges now more than probably the other subjects, because they're going to go on to be more successful probably, you know, on a percentage scale. So if you were, and this is quite a tough question, but if you were going to give like a young person today any advice on starting a business, picking their own lane, figuring out what they want to do with their life, what would you say in a sentence or two? You know, what would you give them?
I'd say just trust your gut and your passion, because passion will override everything. Creative industry is very challenging and very hard, and it's only the drive of the passion that you have and the love you have for something that will actually push you through. But don't ever think that you can't do something because you haven't seen other people around you do it. Just means that you're probably more unique than everyone else, and that's a plus. Yeah, but just believe in yourself and what you can do, because,
Love that. Such a good answer. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.